Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
7:07 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. It's Brian Wilson. Larry O'Connor is spending some more time with family post-Thanksgiving holiday. We are pleased to be joined here by Stephen Moore from the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, guy you see on Fox News, on the Kudlow Report. He's an economist. And are you a one-armed economist?
Oh, Brian, that's a low blow, but it's great to be with you, by the way. Yes, that's, because you need, was it Lyndon Johnson?
Lyndon Johnson said, I need to get me a one-armed economist. And somebody said, what's that? Somebody won't say, well, this is the way it is, but on the other hand, no, that's really
I always say about economists, we're people who are good with numbers but didn't have the personality to be accountants.
Oh, man. That's pretty good. I love that. Well, we are pleased to be joined on the line by our WMAL legal analyst and good friend, Joe diGenova. And, Joe, we got some stuff to talk about.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Hi, Joe. Yeah, did you have a good holiday?
Oh, it was spectacular down here just outside of St. Michael's for the whole weekend.
Oh, man, that's good living down there.
Oysters and turkey.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's good living down there on St. Michael's.
Indeed.
Okay. Look, the Supreme Court this week is going to decide or not decide what to do about Proposition 8. Now, for those who may not know, Proposition 8 is this measure that passed in California, which said that marriage is between a man and a woman. And it overturned some of the laws in the state of California that had to do with gay marriage. The 9 justices are apparently going to go behind closed doors later this week and decide whether to take up that issue, or if they do nothing, then the law, the gay marriage laws in California will stand because they've already been overturned by a lower court. This is big stuff.
Yes. Actually, the Supreme Court has 2 decisions to make this week. Not only do they have to decide whether or not to take the Proposition 8 case from the Ninth Circuit, and that, of course the Ninth Circuit struck down Proposition 8, thus making gay marriage legal. And if that is left alone, if the justices don't take that case, then gay marriage will be legal in California because they were ruling on a state referendum. However, pending are 2 cases from two federal circuits, the First Circuit and the Second Circuit, which struck down the Defense of Marriage Act, the federal Defense of Marriage Act, because they said it denied gay couples equal protection of the law in various federal benefits that you are entitled to if you are married. They're going to take the 2 DOMA cases. They will hear those because once a federal law is struck down, the Supreme Court is almost required to take those cases. So they're going to hear those cases, but they probably will not take Prop 8.
So that's probably going to be left alone as decided by the states, right?
That is correct. That would be a limited case. In other words, the Proposition 8 case means that gay marriages would be legal in California, but that would have no precedential value any other place in the country.
Well, that's interesting.
But courts would look to it, and if they like the logic of it, they could adopt it.
All right, so these equal protection cases. Explain to me equal protection and where it came from.
Well, it's in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, and it's also implied in the 5th Amendment as a result of the 14th Amendment, and it says that you cannot be denied equal protection of the laws as a person in the United States. In other words, the law must be applied equally. That, by the way, has become an argument about why affirmative action should be struck down. Another issue which the court is going to take up this year because they argue that it denies equal protection to white people as a result of the imposition of a colored-based decision-making process. Equal protection in the Defense of Marriage Act area says if you are a gay person and you want to marry another gay person, you have the right to do that as a same-sex marriage because it would be a denial of the equal protection of the law to deny you the right to have a marriage. This is what the issue is all about. Is marriage such a fundamental right that it doesn't matter what sex you are, you're entitled to have that name attached to your relationship? Most of the states say you can't do that. Some of the states, 9 now, say you can have gay marriage, and indeed 3 states in the last election adopted pro-gay marriage referendums by popular vote.
So Joe,
there's clearly a shift going on in the country.
Joe, let me ask you this. This is a quagmire with all these different states passing all of these different laws, and then you've got the federal, legislation, the Defense of Marriage Act, and I've always been kind of a strict federalist to let the states decide these things. But if that happened, if the courts basically say let every state do this, as you know, there were several states this year that had gay marriage on the ballot. What does the future hold for this issue?
Well, it's very interesting. This is why America is so fascinating legally and politically. We have this federalist system where we have a central government, but then we have the 50 states which are free to experiment, according to the founding fathers and mothers, are free to experiment with laws as they see fit. You know, if abortion had been left alone in the 1970s, if the Supreme Court had stayed out of it, states were moving in different directions. Most of them were beginning to liberalize abortion rights, and many of the critics of the Supreme Court believed that it reached in too soon, that it made basically a political judgment, that its logic and its legal reasoning was just awful. In fact, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a supporter of women's rights, thinks that Roe v. Wade was a terrible decision from a legal jurisprudence standpoint, poorly written, poorly argued, and historically indefensible. My theory is gay marriage should be left to the states. Whatever the states want to do, they should be able to do. If they want to allow it, fine. If they want to ban it, fine. The court is going to have to deal, however, with the issue of benefits under federal law. It doesn't have any choice.
And isn't that what this is all about in a lot of cases, is whether all of these benefits, that would be hugely costly.
Oh, my gosh. Well, remember what we're talking about here. The type of rights you're talking about includes Social Security benefits, veterans benefits, health insurance, Medicaid, hospital visitation, estate taxes, retirement savings, pensions, family leave, and immigration laws. I mean, the scope of the laws that are going to be involved in DOMA, the federal statute, is staggering, and the cost is unknowable at this point.
All right, so, given that they may take up these cases, what's your sense of how it's going to go, given the makeup of the court currently?
This is pretty tough because right now, if you count Justice Roberts as the fourth conservative vote,
and that's in question at some time,
which of course is totally unsupportable at this point, that he's a reliable conservative vote, then you're left with Justice Kennedy, who has written two of the most important pro-gay decisions of the 20th century and 21st century. He has written opinions upholding gay rights and striking down state laws. How he would vote on a federal law which defines marriage as a matter of federal law is an unknowable at this point. It's going to be 5-4 either way.
5-4 either way.
Either way, and Kennedy, once again, is the linchpin.
All right. Well, I think it's fascinating stuff that the High Court's going to either decide or not decide this week, so we'll be watching it very closely. Joe diGenova, our legal analyst, always a pleasure.
Thank you. Great to see you guys.
Talk to you soon.